Welcome back to Mass Effect 3. We are exploring the galaxy. And we are continuing to explore the galaxy. So we are at Arcturus. So indeed, my general strategy for exploring places is go to any place that has Reapers in it and that does not yet have 100%. And then try to scan as much as possible, then go do a mission so that the Reapers reset. And that hopefully works.
I found something.
There is something here in Euler. The wreckage of a fuel depot destroyed by enemy forces. Fuel can be salvaged from the debris. Recovered 100 units of fuel. That's nice. Oh, and it's 100% assets. And yes, we have Fermi, wrapped in a haze of carbon dioxide and oxygen, though its temperatures and concentrations make it difficult to support life. Many moons and debris are in its immediate vicinity, leading researchers to believe that at some point Fermi was impacted by something large, launching fragments of the planet into orbit. Wreckage from a scientific station can be detected here. More evidence of the Reaper's presence in the system. Benning. The nearest Garden World to Arcturus station is the primary source of its food supply and an important staging area for starship maintenance and repair. Occupying the planet would be key in any attempt to retake the system's relay. Scattered intelligence indicates that during the battles of Arcturus and Earth, the Reapers sent a small force to Benning to destroy its convoys, spaceports, and starships. With the population immobilized and communications cut, the main force concentrated on the larger prize, knowing they could return before repairs could be made or help could arrive. Heat sources in Benning's space indicate a non-Reaper presence here. So there's some hope for this place. Kawa. Small rock planet with a thin atmosphere of carbon dioxide. After a labor dispute with companies shipping metallic asteroids to the nearby Arcturus system, Yukawa's iron core and blanket of hematite were briefly mined to aid the construction of Arcturus station. Yukawa's reputation as the scab planet persists to this day, as its other resources are not particularly notable. Silva. Named for Matteo Silva, leader of the Prospector team that unearthed the Prothean archives on Mars. This ice giant was once home to a large recovery operation for Helium-3. In its heyday, the Helium-3 flowed freely here to fuel merchant ships commuting from Benning to Arcturus. All infrastructure on Silva has been destroyed, along with the colony on Oliveira, its moon. Yeah, so the Reapers already destroyed quite a lot of stuff. Oh, come on. (42) 518 pi. Crushingly heavy gravity may be more dangerous than its molten seas. Two is a small, dense methane ammonia ice giant with 6 moons. It appears to have no particular distinctive features. Wow, this is a great star system. 3 is a small icy planet orbiting the star 42 518p. Receiving very little heat from the star it orbits, the surface is covered with a dense layer of ice. With an atmosphere composed of a mixture of poisonous gases, it is hostile to any form of organic life. Yeah, it is kind of cold. It's close to absolute zero. And lastly, this is hardly in the system, a brown dwarf that has only just been located by probes. Information on the planet is scarce, but it's unlikely that an expedition will study for any time soon.
Signal confirmed.
What's on this icy planet? A planet of extreme cold and toxic gas. A lifeless world. Gazing out over the frozen landscape, you're reminded of the fragility of life. Only your hard suit provides a measure of safety, and the extremes are taxing the hazard seals. You can't stay here for long. You stand in an impact site carved by an extraterrestrial probe. The design is unknown to you, familiar and unearthly all at once. Though crusted with frost, it's clear that the device is functional. You scan the probe with your Omnitool. Blink, blink, blink. Psst. Music, videos, vocalizations, even genetic material and scientific knowledge are uploaded into your Omnitool. A trove of information, like the golden records carried by the ancient Voyager probes, but more vast and complete. Etched into the hull, you discover stellar coordinates. You forward the coordinates to Edie to place on the galaxy map. Before you leave, you need to decide what to do with the probe. The Citadel could house the probe in one of its museums, preserving this artifact for the benefit of all. Yet private enterprise could study it, unlocking its technology for the war effort. Where do you send it? Cell probe or archive probe? We didn't sell the Geth to Delusivan. So let's archive the probe. And we get a bit of credits from that. And the coordinates point to SM2183 Rua. That is a big star. DH1993, a barren, lifeless planet that surprised researchers when they discovered evidence that it had once harbored life. Preliminary scans revealed evidence of chalk, which can only be formed when the remains of microscopic creatures are subjected to heat and pressure over millions of years. It is believed that there had been a budding microscopic ecosystem on the planet before it was scorched by hellish solar radiation when SM2183 Rua grew into a red supergiant star. So it's a supernova! Indeed, that's what I was thinking. Travel advisory. Pilots are advised to exercise extreme caution when traversing the system, and treat it as a system-wide asteroid field until further notice. Yeah, we can see the asteroid field. More asteroids. That was complicated. DC-1938. A rare example of a garden world orbiting a red giant. DC-1938 is unfortunately part of another rare statistic. It suffered from a phenomenon known as core fusion. This was caused by the uranium core collapsing in on itself, igniting a thermonuclear explosion large enough to rupture the planet into several pieces. The shockwave blew away the atmosphere, wiping out the entire ecosystem of the planet. DC-1938 had been inhabited by a previously unknown alien race, who relied on crystalline matrices for their computing needs. An estimated 5 billion inhabitants of the planet were killed in the catastrophe, with only one confirmed survivor, a baby rescued from a shuttle by the MSV Kent. The infant was taken to the local cluster for treatment. Following its demise, the system has been closed down to all but designated science vessels and the system-sized fleets. Though it is not unheard of for pirates and grave robbers to try and steal technology from a dead world. Yes, it's a system-wide asteroid field. Alliance Scientific Survey concluded that this planetoid was once the satellite of DC-1938 before it was ejected when the planet's uranium core collapsed upon itself. This pushed the moon into an erratic orbit which will eventually see it departing the star system entirely. This satellite bears the scars of the destruction of its parent upon its western hemisphere, where there is intense geological displacement and sections of the active mantle have been revealed. There is further evidence that the moon once held an atmosphere. On its eastern hemisphere, there are signs that the aliens of DC-1938 had been strip mining, proving that they were a spacefaring species before their demise. Wreckage. The wreckage of a fuel depot destroyed by enemy forces. Fuel can be salvaged from the debris. Cover 150 units of fuel. Cool. Yeah, so this star system is based on Cerberus Daily News. It was explained that there was core fusion and one person survived. It is not known what has become of that person, though. Probably the Reapers ate it, but okay. MV-1963. There is little here to draw the eye of anyone visiting the system, but an ugly exterior hides rich quantities of helium-3, and a belt of moons ripe for harvesting precious minerals and metal ores. There is clear evidence that the inhabitants of DC-1938 were performing atmospheric mining on the gas giant itself, all using automated systems. No single body has been found in the vicinity of this planetary system. Early scans of the system noted that the largest surviving chunk of planet DC-1938 is now on a collision course with MV-1963. This garners significant interest in the scientific community, with many Asari preparing to visit the system in centuries to come to witness the impact firsthand. Quite an interesting star system.
I found something.
And Reapers are here. And there's something in this geoid. Crystalline components. That's nice. And we have 66% of the assets. And we managed to evade the Reapers. Good. And there's something else here. And this gas giant that was previously mined. The MSV Kent itself. Well, well, well. Let's see what that entails. So now we have the crystalline components. The path of technology in a civilization is not always straight, sometimes in twists and turns, or generations of invention are bypassed. This was the case on DC-1938. A race that had not expanded beyond their own star system had managed to use crystal matrices in their technology, a feat not matched in citadel space outside of a few unstable laboratory experiments. Though the aliens have perished, the secrets of their technology have started to be uncovered and incorporated into the Crucible. Citadel space, we have one. With the arrival of the Reapers, the seemingly unstoppable enemy has spurred the inhabitants of every species within Citadel space into action in an effort to defend their homes and families. MSV Kent is a Jolong-class modular conveyor of human design, configured for freight and passenger hauling, just one of hundreds traveling through Citadel space every day. The crew drew the eye of the media when they rescued the sole survivor of DC-1938, bringing the infant to live on a station in the local cluster. Months after, the child and crew had a fortunate escape when the Reapers overlooked their station during the assault on Earth. Gathering up their families and the infant, they fled through the mass relay. The alien child and the families of the crew are now safe on the Citadel, while the MSV Kent has been put to work ferrying shipments of rations, Medgel, and other essential resources from the colonies. Well, that's nice. It's kind of weird that we would find that information here, of all places. But okay. So, that means that basically everything is done here at the Arcturus stream. Let's look at Arcturus itself. Here, the Reapers are most likely to be active. So first, Alcyonius. Sizable asteroid, one of many towed through the mass relay to help build Arcturus Station in this metal-poor system. Like many of the asteroids in the belt, miners built small habitats on Alcyonius to live closer to their excavation sites. When the station was finished, a transient population moved in. Belt communities were too small for the Reapers to bother harvesting. Blasts from their weapons pierced the habitat's protective domes and burned through anti-collision kinetic barriers. As far as can be told, the belt's population is now 0. Arcturus Station itself, or what has left of it. Lying at the L5 Lagrangian point of Themis are the fused metal fragments of Arcturus Station, destroyed by Reaper capital ships. The station once housed the Systems Alliance Parliament and the nerve center of their military armada. Now it is a cold grave for 45,000 people, with an epitaph on it saying, "Maybe later." Themis. Hydrogen helium gas giant. Themis is one of Arcturus' stable satellites. It rapidly orbits the massive star. Irene. One of Arcturus' hydrogen helium gas giants, Irene had infrastructure in place for fueling civilian and military starships with helium-3 and anti-protons. None of this infrastructure has survived the Reapers. Well, at least if we manage to defeat the Reapers, there's certainly going to be plenty of opportunities to do things. There's not going to be lack of work. Eunomia is largely made of ice frozen around a metal-poor core. Its deposits were of little use to the humans building Arcturus Station, who favored materials from the asteroids towed into the system. Eunomia lies neglected in the void. There is no obvious Reaper presence here. It's not interesting to the humans, and seemingly also not interesting to the Reapers. So, let's see what we can find.
Signal confirmed.
I have a few things. The wreckage of a fuel depot destroyed by enemy forces. Fuel can be salvaged from the debris. Good, we don't need to buy fuel so much. Arcturus Station itself. Intel from Battle of Arcturus. I don't know where we read intel? Huh. Is that an email or something? No? Huh. Well, maybe I'll figure it out eventually? For now, let's not bother, we have plenty of things to read as it is. So, that's 100% local clusters off limits at the moment, and we have a few other things with Reapers on them. There's Kite's Nest and there's Mead Cluster. Let's go for Kite's Nest. Well, there's also something here. Oh yeah, the protein artifact. We will look at that, but we will look at that a bit later. Let's go to Kite's Nest first.
Commander, battles were fought here. We might be able to learn something.
Okay, maybe later. We have of Untrell. The wreckage of a fuel depot. Appreciate it. Eska. According to Batarian propaganda, the Batarian population exceeds the council races. The Batarian military is the most powerful, and the Batarians' unlivable hothouse planets are the hottest and most unlivable. Their best proof of this last point is Eska, which closely orbits the scorching yellow-white star Untrell. Eska's nitrogen-heavy atmosphere might once have held oxygen, but if so, it burned off long ago. Even robo-miners don't care for Eska. Although some modern mining equipment can withstand the heat, the machinery still gets stuck in the soup of molten light metals on the planet's surface. Reaper presence near Eska seems light. Scans reveal wreckage orbiting the planet, likely destroyed hegemony surveillance drones. Kloss. Kloss is a rock planet with almost no atmosphere to speak of. Consequently, the planet retains fairly little heat considering how close it orbits to an energetic star. The relatively mild temperature made Kloss attractive for robo-mining, with an emphasis on platinum. The planet also has an abundance of sodium oxide, used in the manufacture of lye, but profit margins of that compound are thin by comparison. The Reapers have destroyed the orbital stations surrounding Kloss and cut the strands of the space elevators that earlier generations of Batarians used to transport goods to orbit. Adek is a brutally hot and wet garden world, covered with molds and lichen analogs. It has many viruses and bacteria lethal to Batarian physiology. The hegemony colonized Adek early in its expansion, but few of the colonists wanted to stay. The result was domination by a class of landed slave owners. A small cadre of well-paid engineers and skilled laborers kept the planet's mechs and infrastructure functioning. Alliance estimates put the planet's Batarian population at just over 6 million, but that number has likely fallen since the Reapers arrived. Uza. Methane-rich gas giant. The wreckage around the Helium-3's infrastructure is unusual. It looks as if fleeing Batarians tried to sever the collection equipment and take it with them when they were attacked. No Reaper ships, functional or otherwise, are immediately detectable, suggesting that the Batarians may have actually turned on each other. Curious.
I found something.
I found a lot of Reapers. We're Batarians here, maybe we can find a Batarian or two. Oh, credits. Okay. Oops. Because that's also nice. And now it's 100% access. Let's go to Valar. So this is Batarian space, as you may have understood. Erzbat. Erzbat was a wealthy Batarian colony, rich in farmland, minerals, and manufacturing infrastructure. Little recent information about it has escaped this section of space, but radio traffic from the planet paints a dire picture. Indoctrinated Batarian officials are offering rewards for every living body brought to the labor camps, slave or not. With a state apparatus at their disposal, Reaper units are coordinating house-to-house hunts for resistance members, and paying those who turn them in. Government propaganda dismisses the smell of the processing ships as a natural byproduct of Reaper energy consumption. Columns of dust from annihilated cities tell the story of those who disobeyed. It is the story of XCOM 2. The new XCOM 2, not the Terraformative, obviously. Azimir. hydrogen-helium gas giant whose gravitational pull perturbs the orbit of two nearby asteroid fields, adding momentum so that asteroids shatter during collisions rather than accrete into planets. Debris from a great battle can be seen here. Batarian naval ships, merchant ships, and a few Reaper destroyers have been pounded into wreckage. It appears that the Batarian Navy tried to defend the helium-3 refueling stations, giving civilian ships time to escape the system. Well, there certainly were some refugees who managed to get out. Vanna. A large rock planet, it is covered in prodigious amounts of dry ice, leaving only thin traces of gas for its atmosphere. Uranium deposits drew Batarian miners to Vanna long ago, and when that was exhausted, they moved on to its magnesium. The Reapers have exterminated the colony here, punching holes in the dome cities and leaving its occupants to asphyxiate. Well, that's violent.
Signal confirmed.
Here we can find the Reapers. Or at least the SSV Angel Loot. It's only 50%. Curious. Oh, snap.
Evasion successful.
Well, we will need to return to this place later. Actually, I should have scanned also while going to places. That's something to remember. Colus. Large rock planet wreathed in a haze of carbon dioxide and xenon. It was discovered by Batarian astronomers during the last century and first visited in the 2050s by hegemony survey teams. A small number of colonists lived in aerostat habitats above its oppressive cloud layer, harvesting carbon dioxide. No habitats can be detected now. It is likely the Reapers eliminated them or the colonists submerged into the scorching atmosphere in an attempt to hide. Kamala. Relatively small but Ezo-Ridge Garden world, recently colonized by the Batarians. In an unusually open gesture, the Batarians allowed immigration of free citizens of other species, so long as they came from independent colony planets such as those in the Traverse and Terminus, and retained non-citizen status during their stay. These strictures were small obstacles compared to the economic lure of Ezo, and soon the planet boasted spaceports and refineries that considerably enriched the hegemony. The planet enjoyed relative peace and prosperity, with the major lifestyle inconvenience being freshwater shortages due to a dry climate. The Reaper invasion has turned Kamala's cities from affluent oases into a living nightmare. Alliance intelligence suggests that early in the Reaper invasion, a high percentage of the planet's population was captured and converted to husk creatures for future offensives. No, that's cannibals, come on. The processing camps still run night and day, and the troop transports fly legions of cannibals out every hour. Okay, that's great. For this reason, Alliance Command has put Kamala squarely in sights for military strikes. John. Ramlat. A small rock planet with a thin atmosphere of hydrogen and ethane. During the rush to exploit Kamala for Ezo and other minerals, Ramlat supported a small but steadily growing population. Since the system was bereft of a significant asteroid belt, Ramlat became the go-to location for second-tier miners looking for work. Its tin and gold industry was modestly profitable before the Reaper attack. Today it is a wasteland scarred by the craters of kinetic impact weapons. And Heba. The hydrogen-helium gas giant has an unstable orbit, which over time has led to it clearing the space around it of asteroids and protoplanetary material. As a result, its rings are thick and quite visible. Cover Station. Alliance Intelligence reports that there was once a sizable military space station trailing Heba that was tasked with arming and refueling ships to repel pirates, slave revolts, and foreign invasion. The Reapers wasted little time in destroying it during their conquest of Kamala. Maklan is the outermost planet of the Indra system, a ball of rock and ice with a methane-argon atmosphere. Like Heba, it has an unstable orbit, but where Heba is believed to have formed closer to the star and gradually moved outward, Maklan is believed to have formed further from Indris and moved inward. For in the future, Maklan may become a satellite of its gas giant neighbor. Okay, let's see what we can find here. Most likely, the best place to check is this place.
I found something.
I found Reapers. Wreckage of a fuel depot. Ah, that's 100% assets. I'm guessing that what we're missing there is a fuel depot, and that's not terribly interesting because we will probably spend a lot more fuel getting there than the fuel that we will salvage. Oh well, hey, it's Khar'shan! It's Khar'shan. But first, Dazda. A dwarf planet, Dazda was explored in the beginnings of the Batarian space age and mined for its unusual occurrences of uranium, which was rare on Khar'shan. Whether the planet has been completely mined out is unclear. Accurate data on the planet was lost after a power struggle within the Batarian government. Reaper attack has further worsened the information flow. Khar'shan, the Batarian homeworld, is wrapped less in mystery than in outright lies. Batarian propaganda claims the world has 15 billion inhabitants and an economy that rivals the Asari. Although the legal slave trade does boost the Batarians' profits somewhat, Citadel sanctions have left a paper tiger of an empire, one that fights rivals through deniable terrorist actions rather than the wars of its heyday centuries ago. The Reapers will likely be the death blow to that empire. Almost no information has escaped Khar'shan since the Reapers destroyed the convoys, but Batarian refugees say that resistance has created a bond amongst the new commoners. Okay. If a new government can rise from the ashes, that bond may sustain a new Batarian society. Verush. Hydrogen helium gas giant named for an ancient Batarian monarch whose empire spanned continents. He had such a penchant for mating that 0.6% of modern Batarians claim to trace their lineage to him. The planet's moons are named after his many recognized wives. The Reapers have destroyed all obvious military outposts in Verush's orbit. The Batarians' notorious secrecy, however, may have allowed concealed subterranean facilities on Verush's moons to survive. Ilum, a tiny rock and ice planet that is now missing much of its ice. Ilum was part of a grand project by a hegemony dictator known as Grebosh the Mad. His aim was to drop enormous chunks of Ilum's ice on the surfaces of otherwise uninhabitable desert planets in the hopes of creating sustainable lakes and seas. Wiser heads than he pointed out that diverting a comet was more plausible, but Grebosh executed those who disagreed with him. Grebosh's career was surprisingly long given his loose grip on reality, mostly because his projects employed large numbers of Batarians. Today, Ilum lies abandoned. Hegemony spy drones still orbit the planet, but it is doubtful anyone on Khar'shan is paying attention to any data they send back. Yeah, surprisingly, many rulers are like that. Especially the absolute monarchs. Speculas is a relatively large rock and ice planet known for its deposits of magnetically active periclas, which interferes with some starship scans. Conspiracy theories and pulp adventure claim that secret fortresses are concealed under the ice. The Reaper invasion force appears to have passed the planet by, which is likely the only insight that organics will ever have into the Reaper's literary taste. Okay. Well, it's time to scan Khar'shan. Let's see what we can find. Yes.
Signal confirmed.
So, not Khar'shan itself. But there's a fuel depot. That's cool, I guess. Oh, and also Varish itself. And a weapon upgrade kit. Sounds like something that we would find in the broker lab. But okay, so we are effectively done. We're not completely done with Kite Nest, but we are done with everything we can do to begin with. So the meat cluster will be next. Well, we can go there, I guess, since we are over here. But we will look at it next time. Hey, it's Datris! Excellent. And for now, let's read the journal a bit. B. Infantry General, Planetary Marines. B1s are raw recruits right out of school, and B4 is usually a seasoned sergeant or chief. A soldier who completes the B5 qualification can be considered for an 8 rating. B6 and B7 are restricted to NCO ranks and are required for Command Master Chief? Okay, that sounds cool. For companies or divisions. Organizations. Cerberus, Centurion. Centurions are Cerberus's frontline tacticians. They're meant to enact the elusive man's strategic goals, although it is clear that they have leeway to adapt as an encounter develops. The only useful intelligence that the Alliance has gathered on Centurions relates to their armament. Each Centurion carries an M96 Mattock heavy rifle, modified to launch smoke grenades, leaving enemies vulnerable to crossfire. Yeah, that's annoying. Cerberus Guardian. Guardians, the Cerberus equivalent of human tanks, are slow-moving soldiers who carry enormous, poorly crystalline composite shields. The weight of the shield requires an armored suit equipped with hydraulic assists and a dedicated power supply. Combining this exceptional protection with a suite of enviro-mapping systems, Guardians focus on flanking opponents to flush them from cover. Guardians' slow but relentless approach is intended to demoralize enemies, as well as draw their fire. But rip away their shield, and Guardians become little more than cannon fodder. Cerberus Troopers. Assault Troopers are the backbone of Cerberus forces. Those candidates who make it through the grueling basic training are submitted to an intensive psychological program that renders them fearless, disciplined, and unrelenting. Outfitted with custom-designed armor and rifles, these soldiers function with determined precision and practice teamwork. The first to rush into a fight, assault troopers often work in tandem with more powerful units. They make strategic use of this scenario, keeping their opponents occupied until it is too late to react to the combined Cerberus force bearing down on them. Alright, so that will be all for now, and next time, more planets. See you then, later. Oh yeah, also, in case you're wondering why the uploads are quite slow, because I'm actually on vacation at the moment, and these are pre-recorded uploads that I couldn't get before I went on vacation. So, greetings from the past. But yeah, see you next time. Later.